you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high-quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music.
I feel the need for speed.
Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man Andy Gillard here. Hope everybody's keeping well in the world right now.
Hi guys, it's Ash. How are we doing?
And finishing off the trilogy, it's Ed. We're still without Stu and his rope for a belt.
Obviously, Stu's away in the middle of is it Orlando he's gone to? I can't actually even remember. He's been spamming the group chat with plenty of pictures. I love how if you see him and his lad together, you would think he's the kid because he looks like he's ridiculously happy, and his lad's just like, fuck am I doing here with this guy? It's quite amusing.
Yeah, and he is Wolves merched up to the max as well, so
every day.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, he's keeping Sudo in business here.
Incredible. I've got to say that the only thing that I've seen of him, like not being big into that world, the Simpsons stuff that he sent us, I would definitely be in Krusty Burger. That would be my place, I think.
I think
that's the one I'm jealous of.
My reply to that was instant hard on, and I don't regret what I said.
Yeah, entirely reasonable. This week we're going to be finishing off our episode on the Brat Pack. We're bringing it up to date and we'll be talking about the Brat Pack Juniors. So this will be the 2020 iteration of the BP. We've got a short film review on a movie called Crash Site from, it's either late last year or early this year. I'm not quite sure when it was released. And then we're talking about Tom Cruise in Young Guns from 1988, which feels quite cheap, but we'll get to that when we get to that one. Gents, right, okay, so the Brat Pack, so bringing it right up to date at this point, but we'll start by looking back at the original 7 and sort of seeing what they're doing now. Emilio Estevez, the golden boy of the gang, so he has re-released The Way, which he's been given a new theatrical push and a Q&A tour, like he's really going at this passion project of his. Apparently it's a father and son pilgrimage drama about a man, played by Martin Sheen, walking the Camino de Santiago after his son dies. It's become Estevez's most personal spiritual film. He's done a lot of continued advocacy for indie filmmaking and festival culture. Estevez has been quoted as saying, indie filmmaking is the last place for personal storytelling, which feels very true. Like we've bemoaned on this podcast before, the death of the mid-range film. Like you've either got dirt cheap or you've got mega blockbusters. And I think the indie style is where the mid-range has gone. They've just taken the money away and they're telling their small-scale stories. I think this is why we've had the rise of A24 and the likes as well over the last few years. Them and Neon seem to be holding everybody up. Rob Lowe, the heartthrob, he is the star of 911 Lone Star, which apparently is one of network TV's biggest hits. A procedural drama about a Texas firehouse rebuilt after tragedy, mixing emergency of the week action with character-driven arcs. Ed, 911 Lone Star, are you tuning in? Or this one's completely passed me by, mate.
No. This sounds like American Casualty, doesn't it? That's exactly what it sounded like to me. American Holby City, procedural medical / emergency drama. No, I don't even know where that's on. Never heard of it.
No, same.
I've only ever seen clips of that on TikTok, and it's usually your silly death of the week. I think I've seen one guy who fell asleep or whatever in one of those cryogenic freezer pods.
So Casualty meets CSI. That's what it sounds
pretty
like.
much. And then I think Rob Lowe opens the pod or whatever it is, and he falls out and like crumbles or like cracks open like in Jason X. It looks awful, but good fun in the same vein.
So you say CSI, but my first thought was Futurama when Fry gets into the cryopod. And I was like, okay, so that's what's going to happen. He's also launched Literally with Rob Lowe, which is a successful celebrity interview podcast because every cunt and their dog's got a podcast, it seems. He's also leaned into lifestyle branding, so wellness, nostalgia-friendly, public persona is still going quite hard, it seems. Judd Nelson, the Rebel, he's continued steady character actor work in TV and film. The thriller Suddenly drama called The Downside of Bliss, guest roles in Empire, voice roles are continuing. Like I feel like that's probably his most consistent lane of acting work. He's pretty much settled into this reliable character actor lane from being this standout rebel. Like he's become part of the furniture. He's a bit of a journeyman actor at this point in his career. Molly Ringwald, the girl next door, she was in Riverdale throughout its final seasons. She was the mother in Jeffrey Dahmer's Dahmer from 2022. Continued writing and cultural commentary, including essays and interviews in The New Yorker and The Guardian, focusing on her legacy of 80s teen films, motherhood, aging, Me Too. Apparently she wrote something called What About the Breakfast Club, where she revisits the film's problematic elements and her own complicated feelings about it. I kind of dig an actor who can look back on their work and say, this might not have been great, and how is it looking in the real world now? Rather than just taking the paycheck and ignoring the fact that times do change, and obviously these films are set in stone. I'd be quite interested in reading that one, I think. Ali Sheedy, the misfit, she was in a show called Single Drunk Female. She played the mother in that one. It's about a young woman in recovery moving back home, grounded, emotionally layered performances. Apparently it's very highly rated. I've got to be honest, this isn't one I'm particularly aware of. She's continued teaching, mentoring young actors. She's still got that indie film credibility. So it's like she's still the outsider, but now she's more of the grounded and wise version of that. Andrew McCarthy, the sensitive romantic. So he was sort of the inspiration behind all of this Brat Pack chat. He did the film Brat, which I watched before the first week. So he's become like the chronicler of the Brat Pack era of films. He turns up on all the podcasts talking about this era of cinematic history. He's got his own podcast as well. I don't think I've written that name down. That would have helped. Oh, yeah, I haven't got it down. No. He was on Mark Moran's podcast, Jeff Goldsmith's Hollywood Reporters. He's done a lot of podcasts, so I think if he's listening, maybe he could join us one week. That'd be quite good. Also done a fair bit of directing, Blacklist, Good Girls, prestige TV sort of work. And then, of course, there's the aspiring adult, Demi Moore. She's had probably the biggest resurgence in the 2020s. Runway appearances, magazine covers, Kucha campaigns. She's returned to prestige TV with the Feud series, which I think was Ryan Murphy. It was the second series, which was about Capote versus the Swans. I quite liked the first one, but I haven't seen the second one yet. Obviously, she's continuing producing, developing projects behind the scenes, and she was nominated for an Oscar for the best film of 2024, The Substance. Like, she's made quite a comeback to the A-list, I think, out of everybody. But moving on from that, what does young adult cinema feel like in the 2020s? Like, we're quite a bit removed at this point from where we started on this podcast. And I think it's changed consistently, decade upon decade. Young adult cinema isn't. It's a moving feast. I think it isn't an immovable object. So, Ed, what's the vibe, do you think, going on in coming of age comedy dramas now?
I think we've moved away from every 80s and 90s archetypes of you have a jock, you have a nerd, you have a rebel. And I think now it's without trying to sound incredibly woke again for 2 weeks running, we're very fluid, aren't we, now, with what coming of age means nowadays. It's mental health, it's your sexuality, it's what being online looks like. It's not, I don't think it fits into a box where every film, you kind of know anything sort of probably before, maybe 2017, 2018, had a jock that either became someone that quite liked the nerdy girl, and you had a plain Jane look pretty at the end of it, or, you know, he gets his comeuppance when the nerd actually turns out to be Peter Parker and he can beat the shit out of him. I think we've moved away from what was quite a cardboard cutout archetype that I quite liked those movies anyway. I'm not coming at them with any shade, but I think now we've moved away from those archetypes now to it's a little bit more. It's not Americana anymore. It's sort of what we think the world looks like, or what people think the world looks like now. So it's like fake online things, or it's people's mental health actually means something now. It's not just bullies being bullies and boys being boys.
Yeah, I think that's some very good points. Like the 3 points that I've got written down. There's a lot of therapy coded storytelling now. Like, it does feel like it's about dealing with trauma throughout it and how you handle that shit as a kid and grow into adulthood. There's a lot of queer inclusive narratives that I think we just didn't really see at all. And then the aesthetic of the internet, YouTube, podcasting, TikTok, everything is faux sincerity. Maximalism is a thing now. It's all big and bold, and I think those for me are probably, I agree with you, I think those are the 3 big things. Ash, have you got anything to add on to the general vibe of things currently?
No, I think you've covered it pretty well. Are we putting in this one a good example of those sort of things? Because when you were speaking about it then, I was thinking it's all started from 21/22 Jump Street, because I think that was a very big point of with Jonah Hill and Tatum, and Tate, like, they even commented on it in a sort of sense of Tatum was the jock who was going to be the cool dude, and then they get there and it's like, no, actually Jonah Hill's the nerdy sort of one, but he's the popular kid, and it shows. It was a very good indicator for whatever you think of the film. It's a very good indicator of how it's all changed now, and it's all about your feelings and all about that sort of stuff. So in that sort of sense, it was a very good commentary of where we've moved to as a society.
And you know, just really quickly, that made me think of Dodgeball. I know it's not obviously a ridiculous movie, but if you remember that the youngest guy in there wants to be a cheerleader to get the girl, and that makes Vince Vaughn like go on that high school is very different to when he was at school, and that was obviously even earlier than that. So I guess we have been. It's been foreshadowed a little bit, hasn't it? I think that's a really good point, actually.
Excellent point there, Liz. So yeah, Ash, then, so what films over the 2020s feel like the spiritual successors to the Brat Pack era?
Do you know what? It's not a film, but as you were talking about your therapy and stuff like that, quite literally, at the moment now, you've got this Scrubs reboot, and you look at this latest band, not so much JD and Turk, but you look at the latest band of intakes, and you've got this therapy room, you've got the girl who's on the social media and stuff like that, and you've got the British guy who's soft and with his feelings, and then you've got the so-called jock who loves his appearance. Scrubs is a fantastic piece of a fantastic point of that. I know it's technically not a film, but same with Euphoria. I've never watched Euphoria, but that seems to be the cool sort of thing. And also Stranger Things as well. I know I'm just saying, I'm saying TV here more than films.
No, I've got Stranger Things down as well.
Yeah, me
you're
too.
right, yeah.
Yeah, again, from what you fit, like, it feels like we're going more towards these streaming shows more than films. I know it's a part later on, but it feels like we've moved from films more down to streaming shows, and these shows are more indicative of sort of young adults now.
Yeah. Ed, have you got any films or TV shows on your list?
So I think we talked about a couple of the films last week, sort of like Lady Bird or Booksmart. They I think were natural successors and sort of have that ensemble thing about them, and are a little bit. I think Booksmart is probably the closest to Breakfast Club without some of the what would now be classed as problematic. But I think something that Ash has just touched on there. I wonder where we stand with sort of like slightly older than this demographic. But what about something like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where you have that ensemble cast, where you've got the jock in Terry Crews, but he's also Terry loves love, and he's really in touch with his feminine side. There's a gay police captain who happens to be black. There's a bisexual Hispanic police officer, and you've of course got Andy Samberg being sort of the teenage 30-year-old. I wonder if Ash is onto something here about the fact that we are probably seeing some of this ensemble stuff that we're talking about on TV and on streaming more than films. I think it's probably easier as well now to do that, because when we look at the actual films that are around at the minute, if it's not Marvel or Harry Potter adjacent or Lord of the Rings adjacent, things don't seem to fly very well, do they?
No, I completely agree. I think that's slightly touching on the next question we'll get to, but I think you're absolutely right. And I think you bring up a good point when you mentioned the teenage 30-year-old Andy Samberg. I do feel like young people now aren't necessarily young people from when we were growing up watching these people. A young person now, he's probably 30.
Yeah.
Like you see someone like, I went to see The Drama last night, starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And they're both still hot shit young kids. Even though Zendaya, I think, is 31, maybe, and I think Pattinson is mid-30s, potentially even a little bit older than that. So it does feel like the window has shifted slightly on what you'd consider to be a young person rather than an actual child at this point in Hollywood. I've got 3 films: Do Revenge, starring Maya Hawke, which was like a hyper-stylized, dark comedy. Like, it's very 2020s. Queer inclusive, a lot of therapy speak throughout it. It was good. I feel like Maya Hawke is one of the faces of this generation of film and TV. Bottom, starring Ayo Edebiri and Rachel Sennott. These are just 2 people who are making smart movies for young adults. They're probably the closest to an actual out-and-out comedy as well in this. It's basically about a queer teen fight club in a high school. It's chaotic, horny, but like ridiculously sincere, but very satirical as well. And it stars Marshawn Lynch, who I absolutely love. One of my all-time favourites. And the other film I've got on my list is Bodies, 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 which is a Gen Z... Excuse me 1 second. I pressed the button on my earphone and it started playing Snoop Dogg at me through my laptop. I can't continue this thought with Snoop Dogg blaring out at me. Sorry about that. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It was a Gen Z slasher about satire about friendship, paranoia, performative wokeness. It's a film built off TikTok discourse. It's the perfect encapsulation of these. I fucking loved Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And it's got one of my all-time favourite jokes where they take the piss out of podcasters in it. It's worth watching it just for that. And it's... Ed, I think you would get a lot from it, even though it's technically a horror. It's not really. If you get a chance, I would fully say give it a watch. It's very funny, but also quite dark as well. So the next question then, it was going to be, or it is, did streaming kill the idea of a unified youth culture? Like, there's no monoculture anymore. I kind of feel like in the 80s, 90s, and even into the noughties, everyone would go and see American Pie. Everyone would see Mean Girls or The Breakfast Club. There was something that was very much, this is the film for the teen of the day. Obviously, in Mean Girls, when Janice is showing Katie around, she's pointing out all the different subcultures, but actually there's not a great deal of difference between the groups. I don't feel like that rings true anymore, because the world has got so much smaller than where it was that all the different subcultures can be so wildly, so vastly different to each other. And I think something like streaming, which brings everything from all around the world together, has kind of been a reason for that. I think it's a great thing because everyone can find their tribe, but I feel like it also segments groups as well a little bit now. Ed, what do you think about this?
Yeah, well, you can find your niche anywhere, can't you? Or YouTube. If you type in anything on YouTube, I mean, there's a whole YouTube. When my dad about 3 years ago had a knee replacement, and I looked up sort of how to recover for him on YouTube, looking for exercises and things. And there are chiropractors on YouTube with like 4 million subscribers that watch people get adjusted. Like, what on earth? What's the niche there that you're into? Some of it is hypersexualized, There are some incredibly well-endowed female chiropractors that I don't think are necessarily being watched for how they're manipulating bones. But like the niche, the niche that they can get, that you can now get, not just on streaming platforms, but on YouTube, means that, like you say, everyone can find their tribe, and you don't have to leave your house to even go and watch it at the cinema. That's on your phone. You can watch that while you're having a poo. Do you know what I mean? It's just you don't need to go out to find your tribe anymore. You don't need to go and play football in the park. You don't need to hang around, the man on the horse with your skateboard anymore. You don't need to go anywhere. You can do what we're doing now, and talk about films, and you find your people. So there is no need for a collective anymore, because you can find it online, and it's obviously used sometimes for very dark things that you hear on the news, but it can be a good thing, because otherwise you are pigeonholed into, like you say, when talking about Mean Girls, you could be pigeonholed into that niche of a group that you maybe only just about fit in. Like I wasn't clever enough to be a nerd at school, but I wasn't good enough at football to be a footballer at school. So you have to find your people. So and maybe there's less of that now. You can find them easier.
Ash, has there been a teen movie of the year for a while? Because I'm really struggling to think of anything that, like, Minions kind of feels like the last one, when all those fucking dweebs turned up in business attire. That's the only thing I can think of. Have you got anything that you feel has like unified a group for a while? Because I'm struggling.
Firstly, I want to see the medical certificates of these well-endowed chiropractors. No, I don't think you really do. Apart from like you say, the IP-driven, your Marvels and stuff like that. The only other thing I could really think of is when people are taking the piss, because you had the Minions nonsense. You had the what was it for Morpheus? The Morbin time. It's Morbin time nonsense. That was a thing for a while. It seems to be whatever you can do to take sort of the piss, and because saying. It seems to have just all gone away. But like you say, it's all online now. Like, it all comes on Twitter. I think we're lucky in the sense, probably more so. My sort of generation was probably the last one where you had both sides, where you were you were like you say you cool kids that played football, or your goth, your nerd, or anything like that, or you're an in-betweener, to bring it into British thing. Whereas now you can be a cosplayer and all that sort of stuff, and your stereotypical jock and nerd and all that sort of stuff's gone out the window. The rise of the Comic-Con and the rise of the, say, Pokemon Go, to go to my thing, you can organise all that online, and then you find your people that way. But
yeah, absolutely.
Taking it back to your sort of film, I think your main ones now is people coming online to take the piss. That's how you get people together now.
How cynical is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what songs define the 2020s coming of age stories? The few that I've got, so my girl Olivia Rodrigo, it feels like so many of her songs are about coming of age, angsty teen. I say rock in inverted commas because, like, obviously it's still very pop heavy. Driver's License, Good For You, Traitor, Vampire. These are all things that have become the vocabulary of Gen Z. Billie Eilish seems to have been everywhere. Barbie, Euphoria, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Anthems for kids, pretty much, from her. Sabrina Carpenter, she's fun, flirty. I think she's the nice counterbalance to Livy and Billy, because she's a bit of a throwback, and there is this weird dose of nostalgia from Gen Z kids. So I think there's that. And obviously Charlie XCX has been... Brat was everywhere. She's obviously part of the Wuthering Heights soundtrack. So those, for me, are the soundtrack of the coming of age now. Ash?
My brother in Christ, what are we talking about here? You have literally, you've sold me down the river here. This is an absolute fucking hospital ball pass. Like, you know me to, like, I'm just looking, I'm looking on my music library. The most up to date thing is my music. I've downloaded the Paddington musical album. Apart from that, I have Sinner's soundtrack, and then after that, I have Boyzone, like, an Offspring. I can't answer this. Oh, actually, no. I'll go with Joe. Joe Keery. Mm-hmm. That one song. I can't. What's the song called?
The Chicago one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that. Go with that.
Song.
Fuck it. I haven't got any other answer. I'm wasted on this.
He kind of feels like he's the sensitive boy as well, doesn't he? Like he has got that in his locker, and I feel like his music also brings some of that to the table. So I actually think you've pulled one out of the bag there, Ash. Ed.
If it was a hospital pass to Ash, then I've been crunched by Carl Henry, because I don't think I've ever been up to date with music in my lifetime, other than maybe liking the Chili Peppers in the late 90s. The only one I could think of, and it's probably outing me as a undercover Swiftie, is her 10-minute All Too Well that she released a few years ago. It was an original song from way back when she first started out, and she expanded it, and it does talk about everything we talked about in terms of the stereotypes around what it's like to be a young adult now. So it's a 10-minute version of the song as well. She's gone full Bohemian Rhapsody on it. It talks about like losing people. It talks about emotional betrayal. It talks about road trips and loads of other things. It's a really good song. She's annoyingly very good. Is our Tay-Tay. But I think as well, it's got the weird record of being the longest ever #1 on the Billboard Top 100 in America as well, with how long it is. And the music video is basically a film. So I've shoehorned that in because I haven't liked anything that's been released since about 2006. So this was not a question for me. When I saw this earlier, Andy, I closed my phone down. I had no idea how to answer this, and I've managed to pull a shoehorned answer about Taylor Swift into it.
That's fine. I mean,
showing how relevant I am.
I'm sat here wearing my Olivia Rodrigo t-shirt, so I'm obviously like part of the pack with that one. Are today's young stars brands before they are actors? So what I mean by that is, are they first and foremost an actor, or are they just part of a bigger machine now? So you look at someone like Zendaya, for example. She's the global ambassador for Valentino and then Louis Vuitton. She's on the red carpet, probably more so than she is anything else. Her fashion identity is as culturally dominant as her acting. Social media persona, like her Instagram presence, is huge. She posts quite a lot of stuff on there. It's all very curated, very aspirational, very low drama. There is obviously the parasocial relationship. Ed, you probably won't see this so much because they're not being on social media, but you will see so many accounts that are stands for celebrities. And it's fucking weird, to be perfectly honest. But these people, they have this parasocial relationship where if she does anything, good, bad, indifferent, they will be there to defend everything or everyone's actions. And it's so utterly bizarre. And it just gives you this polished product at the end of it where these people don't necessarily feel real anymore. Like every appearance feels hyper stylized, it's managed, it's immaculate, it's blemish free. I don't particularly like that. I kind of want my actors to be a little bit rugged, and I don't feel like we get many of those anymore.
No,
what do you think, Ed?
I think it's a sign of the times, isn't it, that you have to be perfect, because cancel culture is so quick to jump on you. And like Ash has talked about, one of the only times that people get together now is to literally take the piss out of people, or to jump on them when they do wrong or do what's deemed to be wrong. That you probably do have to be utterly polished. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Tom Holland, but the fact that he's sort of known for spoiling Marvel films and not meaning to is quite endearing compared to like how you're supposed to just be, you know how to toe the line and you can't tell people things. And the fact that someone may or may not spoil a Marvel film being sort of seen as unusual, like you say, that's not exactly like what's his face, Iron Man's 90s scandal, or Rob Lowe's scandal, or any of those things we talked about. And we just talked about sports before we came onto the pod. If you compare, I'm a huge basketball fan, but Michael Jordan's off-field antics and how hyper psychotic he was and basically a bully, compare that to LeBron, who has to be this polished, perfect basketball player that, can't ever do wrong. It's a little bit controversial that he sometimes swears. The whole society now is you have to be perfect, and if you're not, you're hung out to dry. And you don't have to be on Epstein's lists to be a bad person anymore. You don't have to go that far now. You just have to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and your career could be over.
Yeah. Ash, so the other name that I've got for this issue, I think we have this polished product problem. Jenna Ortega. So again, fashion houses. Yves Saint Laurent is her whoever pays for all her shit. Her Wednesday gothcore aesthetic it's become a fashion trend. I feel like people are cosplaying as goths because of someone like Ortega. The dry humour, she's kind of not a proto, what's the word for the one that follows version of Aubrey Plaza? The dry humour, the deadpan delivery, the introverted cool, I think has come here. Successor, that's the one.
Yeah.
And again, she has this parasocial lot on Twitter who will just defend her regardless of the fact that, with all due respect, most of her filmography is dog shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm being controversial there. Yeah. She's a fine actor. She doesn't do a lot of good.
No. She's sort of pigeonholed now, though, isn't she? She's the quirky, gothy sort of girl, so she will just get pigeonholed into those sort of roles. You probably won't see her doing many rom-com sort of lovey-dovey films because it's just not her gimmick per se.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see it. Well, it's been going. When you posted the thing, Jenna Ortega was the answer for me. That was the one that I was going to go with because that's what came straight for me. Because it's like you say, the gimmick of the gothy sort of girl. But like Ed said, you can't. It's not just films though. It's sports. It's wrestling. It's a well-oiled machine. You hear about all the time. These people, they get media trained now. And so all these answers are stock, awful answers. And it's so robotic, it's horrible. And just to name another person, your Cole Palmer, that's why he gets quite popular because he can tell he's either stupid or he's not all there to give some of the stupid answers that he gives. And it makes it quite endearing. And we're screaming out for somebody to be like that. Even though you've got people like Ryan Reynolds, it's not authentic. You need authenticity. Speaking of another gimmick, you've got Ryan Reynolds, who's that sort of, I'm kind of cool sort of thing, but you can sort of tell with him it's just not authentic.
I'm really cool, except only when I say things my dozens of writers have told me to say.
Yeah.
I do think that's it, isn't it?
He's making a great career out of being Chandler from Friends, I think. Ryan Reynolds, that's what I genuinely think he's doing.
I think you're right. I think, I don't know about you guys, but so the next question is, if we recast the Brat Pack today, who fills each archetype? The ones that I've gone for, I think probably are a little bit away from the brands. The ones that I've picked are ones that I think have got personality outside of Instagram. They don't have to just look perfect all the time. But that's the way I've gone. I sort of wanted someone who's got a little bit more about them. The way that I've also done it, because as I said before, I kind of feel like young in Hollywood isn't necessarily young anymore. I've gone with anyone who was pretty much 25 or under in 2020. I think that was the only way that I could really do it without picking literal fetuses for this part of it. Right then, Ash, who've you got down as your golden boy?
I wouldn't really be surprised if this is a free for free. I could be wrong though, but I've gone for the Chalamet. I think it is. I don't think much of Wonka, but not Wonka, of Dune, but it's obvious this is his machine. This is his coming out party. But for me personally, I loved him in Wonka. I thought he was superb. Whatever you think of it, but I thought he was brilliant as Wonka in that film. But yeah, I think it's his world. It's his acting world now. And we're all just living in it.
Ed?
Yeah, I've got Chalamet for the Golden Boy, and I think everything Ash just mentioned. But he's also got that little edge about him that he's also willing to take on some of those roles that you don't necessarily think a Golden Boy would take on. I mean, he's done a whole film about being a table tennis player, hasn't he? So he isn't, whether or not he's this polished, weird, horse-looking, handsome boy that he looks like, but he definitely has. He has more about him, I think, which probably makes him the Golden Boy. He seems to have some real acting chops.
Yeah, like it is 3 for 3. I had him down as my heartthrob last week. I think between starting out and where he's gone to now, he's grown into just a fine actor who is hunting down Oscars at this point. You just know that he's not going to stop until he gets it. And I kind of like that he's not just leaning into superhero nonsense to make his millions. He wants to push cinema as a thing further. And I know he comes across as quite arrogant about it in interviews. But I kind of like that for exactly the reasons we were just talking about, the anti-brand sort of superstars now. So I think he deserves to be upgraded from heartthrob to golden boy in my list as well. Yeah, I think tremendous. So moving on to the heartthrob, I've gone with Jacob Elordi, who was in the most recent Wuthering Heights. He's tall, he's brooding, he's effortlessly handsome. Euphoria, Saltburn, Priscilla. As I said, Wuthering Heights, when he steps out of the mists on the moor, I got palpitations. I was like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's a heartthrob, and he's got the acting chops to back it up. I legitimately didn't know he was an Aussie. I thought he was one of us. I was very impressed with his accent work in both Saltburn and Wuthering Heights. Ed?
Yeah, he was my answer too. Aussies are basically us, but with a suntan, aren't they? So they should be able to do our accents. No, I've got him for everything you just said, but yeah, he can't not be the heartthrob because he's annoyingly handsome, isn't he? He's annoyingly handsome to the point of you can't hold it against him. You can't think he's a prick because he's handsome, because he just is that handsome.
Yeah. Ash, is it 3 for 3?
It's not actually. I went in Euphoria, but I went for Sydney Sweeney.
Okay.
Like, what if you think of her acting? Like I challenge you to show me somebody who hasn't fallen in love with her and how she looks, and just swoon.
I think she has her career because of her looks, because she's not a talented actor. And that's no knock against her. Use what you've got. But yeah, I think you're probably fair there, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Rebel. Have you got down it?
Let me just go back up to my notes. I think I've gone very basic bitch with this. I went with Jenna Ortega for everything you've just talked about. She was the only one I could think of that sort of fitted that sort of anti-establishment, maybe not the Sydney Sweeney levels of pretty, but pretty enough. And of course, Rebel in Hollywood and in movies is probably just being a slightly bit goth, and that's obviously where she's pigeonholed herself. So I went for Jenna Ortega.
Ash?
I went with, and just because I wanted a reason to put her in, and I think she's more than just a pretty face. I went with Florence Pugh. I think her in herself more so. I think she goes into some of these roles, and I don't think she cares what role she does. She'll just go into any of them, because you think she was Midsommar, and she was Fighting with My Family, Thunderbolts. She's an action star. Then you got We Live in Time, where she shaved her head for the role. Yeah, June Part 2, like Oppenheimer. She plays the would you say bit on the side? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
I just like how broad she is, and I don't think she's afraid to go for any role in that sort of sense. So I think in that sense, if you put in that words, that's kind of rebellious in that sense.
That's cool. I've gone with Ayo Edebiri. The reason being, she's like nobody else, I don't think. I don't feel like she's a rebel as like she's rebelling against the machine. I think in a world of fairly manicured female stars, she's very offbeat, she's very sharp, she's very sort of anarchic. She has a lot of energy that she brings, whether it's on screen or with interviews. Oh, I've already mentioned Bottoms. I thought that was a tremendous film with her where she played off type. I love her in The Bear. Like that's
I was going to ask you, is it the girl from The Bear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sid is one of my... her and cousin, just fantastic. I think she's a rebel because of her humour, not because of the angst which she brings to roles. And also, like, I was just trying to find a way to thumb her in because I couldn't quite fit her in. And, like, she needs to be in this because I just think she's wonderful. The next one down, The Misfit. Ash, who's your misfit?
I went with Barry Keoghan.
Mm-hmm.
I think based more so on the Banshees of Inisherin, his role in that, that's misfit as any all hell. But then you go with Saltburn, and you think he's going to be the Joker in the new in the Bat Pat series, seemingly. I think he's got with the sort of the rat face as well. I think he symbolises a bit of a misfit quite well.
Yeah, I get that, definitely. Ed?
Yeah, I had him down as a potential rebel for the last one. I think you've already mentioned it, Andy, but I went for Maya Hawke or Uma Thurman's daughter, which probably adds to that Brat Pack feel that we're talking about sort of old money. Obviously, being both Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's kid gives her a helping hand, but I've got her as a misfit because she doesn't quite fit maybe a bit like her mom, really, in terms of she's a part model, part singer, part actress. You know, she's a bit all over the place, isn't she? And she's known, like, her movies aren't exactly they're not typecast. She doesn't seem to be, you know, she's done lots of, obviously I know she's in Stranger Things, but you know, she's been in like Inside Out 2 and Little Women and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so she kind of goes all over the place. So I got her down as misfit, although she gets the incredible help of being a nepo baby.
Yeah, definitely. I really like Maya Hawke, and to be fair, her music's all right. Like, Missing Out's a really good song. She's got a few like that where I think, yeah, I could quite happily just put this on and vibe out some decent stuff. My misfit, I've gone with Rachel Sennott for very similar reasons to why I went for Ayo Edebiri. Like, they've got a fairly similar filmography. And I think Rachel Sennott is a very attractive woman who just manages to pick films that don't show that off particularly well. And because she's such a creative force behind a lot of her films, she obviously chooses the roles that don't necessarily show her best side. And I think in the world that we're currently in, for someone to have that about them is such an unusual path to have taken. And I really like her for that. I think she's got some really good performances. Shiva Baby, I thought, was a brilliant film that was criminally underseen. And she's got a few roles like that. Bodies, to bring that one back full circle as well. She's great in that, and she's the one who delivers my favourite joke. I really like Rachel Sennott, and I feel like her and Ayo Edebiri, I could have switched those around for these two. I just wanted to get them both in my list, so this is the way to do it for me. I have a feeling The Girl Next Door, me and Ash may have the same one, so I'll come to you, Ed. Who's your Girl Next Door?
I've gone with Sadie Sink. I think I just picked Girl Next Doors have to be redheads. I think I nailed my colours to the mast last week about that. So, yeah, she's obviously another Stranger Things, and I'm starting to get into Stranger Things now. I'm sort of 2 or 3 episodes in. So I've been sort of looking up who's in it and things like that. So I think it's her, but she was also really good in The Whale, if I remember rightly as well. So, yeah, she's also, I'm pretty sure she's one of the girls in All Too Well, the short film of the Taylor Swift song as well, from way back when she was a lot younger.
What I like about Sadie Sink, especially compared to Millie Bobby Brown, Sadie Sink feels like she's going to be an actor,
yes,
whereas Millie Bobby Brown feels like she's just going to do whatever dog shit Netflix tells her to do.
Yeah.
I kind of dig that. She apparently was John Carter Must Die, I think, was on Broadway, and I think they're making a film of it, and she was in that and got like really high praise, and I believe she may even be producing the film version of it now. So I think she's going to be doing a bit of everything in the future, it seems like. Ash, who've you got for The Girl Next Door?
I tossed and turned with this one.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, I bet you did.
Well, you know. I was tempted to go outside the box and say Zendaya, because she's in a lot of these sort of rom-com sort of movies. And you think, like, MJ in the... or whatever is she MJ? Is that what her name is in Spider-Man's?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sort of an alternative version of The Girl Next Door, because you think of all these other ones that she's in. But no, I went Catherine Newton. I had to go Catherine Newton in the end. It's a sign of the different times that she's sorts of plays these sort of quirky little roles, but she's playing that role in every single one. I think it's more a sign of the times that these are the sort of Girl Next Door roles now. So I think that works. I think they work for me.
Fair. It's not who I thought you were going to go for, in fairness. The one that I've gone for, which I thought you would have, is Hayley Steinfeld. she's approachable, she's funny, she's quirky, she's endlessly charismatic. She was great in Dickinson. Like, even I liked her in a Hawkeye. Edge of 17, brilliant. And, of course, our favourite Sinners.
Yeah.
She feels like the modern-day Molly Ringwald to me, because she's got that she can give us a straight, serious performance, but she can also have that funny, quirky, little bit offbeat energy as well.
Yeah.
So that was why I'd gone with Seinfeld.
And incredibly pretty without looking like Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
Which is Molly Ringwald-esque as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
To be fair, if the girl next door said the lines that she said in Sinners, it'd be all over. I'd have to move.
God damn, yes. The aspiring adult. Now, I've gone with one who's already been mentioned. I've gone with Florence Pugh. I remember with Flo, when she broke onto the scene, she was like fucking 17, 18, 19 years old. And she was playing roles of 20 plus. Like, she was playing roles of people who were approaching their 30s. And I always feel like whenever I've seen her, whatever role she is, she brings this gravitas to it. And absolutely, she has got the energy of, a rebel, of a girl next door. She's got a bit of everything, to be perfectly honest. But I feel like she's got all of that because she is this grown-up trapped in a young person's body. She's got the gravitas that I think that you need for an aspiring adult. So that's why I've gone with Flo. Ed, I can see you nodding here.
Yeah, that's who I've got as well. And I think the only thing worth adding to that is she made Thunderbolts worth watching. And that's saying something because that film was awful. But she was the best in it by a long shot. And I couldn't believe when I did this looking up earlier that she's 30 because I would have pitched her at anything between 35 and 22 because she just seems to be ageless. Not in a Paul Rudd way. She's been always been good and has been for a long time.
She feels like she's been like part of the furniture of cinema and TV for such a long time that, it is crazy to think that she's 30. I think the first thing I saw was Little Drummer Boy, which I think was like an espionage thing where she was playing a honey trap, if I remember correctly, and she was 18 years old in it, and like just out acting everybody else on screen. Incredible.
She's got Jodie Foster vibes for me.
I get that, yeah. Definitely. Ash?
I've gone with Anya Taylor-Joy. I think it might be more the way that she carries herself in these sort of films, because you think like the Queen's Gambit, not film, but she has that sort of presence of a woman rather than a girl. And I say she's only 30, and the way she sort of carries herself, I think she acts more like an adult. And then she had that turn in Furiosa. I don't know what you think of that, but
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I felt that was a proper adult performance for her.
That's a good shout. I hadn't even considered her, but yeah, I think you're spot on there. So the final archetype of the group was the sensitive romantic, the soft, the emotional, the introspective heart of the group. Ed?
I went for cage fighting, cruise control favourite Paul Mescal for this. I think he's as close to the Brat Pack 80s heartthrob, sensitive. You could see him going down the road of doing what the original, I've forgotten the guy's name, the one that no one's heard of. Matthew, what's his face? Who's this one? Andy,
Andrew McCarthy.
That's him. I could see him going into directing and writing and cracking on with his life after he's done being the sensitive romantic in all the edgier rom-coms that I think that people do nowadays. So yeah, and he's also we're fans here on Cage Fighting of Mr. Mescal, aren't we?
After Sun is one of the best films of the 21st century. That film broke me. Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. Ash?
Same, really. Pretty much the same answer for most of the same reasons. He's just a good-looking lad. I had to swoon over him in. I know it's not the not the right thing, but Gladiator 2 was probably the best thing. He was the best-looking thing about that.
Yeah, entirely fair. I'd gone with Josh O'Connor. Like, he's very soft-spoken, but he's got like an old soul about him in a way that I don't think many others have got. He's slightly awkward with it as well, which kind of fits in with, I think, where we are in the modern day for this type of group. He was great in Challengers. He's also in La Chimera, which I've heard nothing but good about his performance. And I'm sure Matthew Guy can speak volumes about his performance in The Crown, when he's not just perving over Lady Di. So, yeah, Joshua O'Connor. What I kind of like about all of our lists, really, I think there's not one actor on our list that you couldn't make an argument for them to fit into 2 or 3 other categories. It feels like that actors now, like I know polyglot is the term used for people who can speak multiple languages. These can speak multiple film languages. I think a lot of these people, they can do more than one thing in a way that I think a lot of actors from the past don't. Like, it feels like these people just don't pigeonhole themselves. They will throw themselves at anything, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it obviously we're based on Nick Cage and now Tom Cruise, but they were really the outliers in the eras that they were in, and it feels as though these guys are more along those lines than they're not just going to do one type of movie, are they?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, quick break. We'll be back to do Crash Site from 2025. Welcome back. Right, so it's available on YouTube, directed by Jason Sperling, who is a visual effects guy from Vikings Valhalla, Jupiter's Legacy, The Walking Dead, and a lot of other things, starring Stephen Yeun, I believe it's pronounced, and Sam Richardson. Obviously, Yeun you'll know from The Walking Dead, and he's had a number of Oscar-nominated films that he's been part of. Sam Richardson was in Veep, which I think is one of the best American sitcoms of quite some time. So the aim of this area of the podcast is a 60-second review of a short film. So I will come to you first, Ash. Let me get 60 seconds on the clock. Right, tell me when you want me to start the timer.
Oh, go on then.
Okay.
Let's go. Crash Site with some wonky VFX flames at the start. Is a good indicator of obsession that made me think they've just brought in a guy to play Gollum in a more updated world who becomes obsessed with a box and finding out what is in the box. I think it's very well acted because, they've got a big star in films. It says it's sci-fi, but I think it's more a film about obsession, and it leaves it on a horrible, agonizing note of to find out what actually was in that box.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Ed, tell me when you're ready to go.
Yep.
Okay.
So probably going the opposite of what Ash has done. There's cliffhangers, and then there's absolutely no point to why I've just spent 50 minutes watching this movie. There are some wonky special effects. There is some very good acting from one person and some wooden acting from another person within it. The obsession part I understand and I get, but there is no payoff in this short film. I feel like that it's not a cliffhanger. It's barely a hill. I was really, really disappointed with the ending to this, not knowing anything about that box. We weren't even given a hint of what was in that box. It's worse than the ending of Seven, where we all know it's her head in the box, but we never see it. We have no idea what's in this box, and therefore it deems it pointless for me. We've gone from the ridiculous to the sublime to the meh in the last 3 weeks.
Super. Thank you. Right then, let's go. The problem with Crash Site is that it's hugely underdeveloped. Whilst it looks good-ish, bearing in mind that it's got a tiny budget, the visual and practical elements are fairly nicely done, but there's just no story here. Like, we hear that Yeun and Richardson have a bit of a strained history friendship, but it's not expanded upon about what's happened previously. Whilst we're on the walk with them, we get no idea that they're even friends. They could just be two people walking in the same direction. And then, of course, there's no resolution. There's nothing after this point. So it just is kind of empty. Yoon's character is trying to find this answer to this base 3 language, and then we get this cliffhanger ending with the potential man in black stopping us finding what's been communicating. And it's underwhelming in a way that is just so unsatisfying. This isn't an ending where we're left to decipher our own thoughts on it. Like, there's no ending here. It just stops. This film reads more like a spec script in the hope that a studio may pick it up and make a feature-length film, but I wouldn't trust the filmmaker or writer to actually make one. I think you made a perfect point, Ed, with this one. We've gone from like top to bottom to at least. I feel like this might be the worst one. This might be the most disappointing one we've done. I don't know if it's the worst one.
Yeah,
but it's the one I had highest hopes for with littlest payoff.
It's more your parents saying they're disappointed with you than they're angry with you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it felt like it was a teaser, didn't it? And I feel let down. Cool. Right, Young Guns up next. I know Young Guns. I know we're doing Tom Cruise films, and Tom Cruise appears for less than a second in this film. So if you do want to know, like, I don't know did you guys figure out who he was in this film?
No. I even Googled it and couldn't find him on the recording.
He gets shot at the end, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. So you know when they throw the travelling case out the window and Billy the Kid comes out with his guns blazing?
Yeah.
The first person he shoots. So if you want to find it, it is 1 hour, 39 and 18 seconds is the exact timestamp of this image. You don't even see him because literally as soon as the camera cuts to him, he's turning his face away from it. So you wouldn't know unless you know. So it literally is a blink and you'll miss it role because, it's ridiculous. But it's part of his filmography, so it's got to be done. Released on August the 12th, 1988. And now I'm going to be the outlier here because I kind of enjoy it, but I think it's because I have a nostalgia for this because it's got that stylized MTV era of filmmaking. It does feel like it is kind of bratty, youthful energy in a way that Western films absolutely aren't. And I think when I saw this, I'd have probably been 15, 16. So I feel like this is very much pitched at a teen audience. I think if I came to it in my 30s for the first time, I don't know if I would, especially like having seen proper traditional Westerns, because this ain't that at all. Ed?
I hated every second of it, Andy. I couldn't believe that the people in this movie, even Charlie Sheen, who you hope would have something about him, all of it just felt so wooden. And I'll put it in our group chat, and I think Ash actually nailed it even more than me. But this felt like Channel 5 on a Easter holiday when it's raining outside and you've got nothing else to watch, and it's 1999. I couldn't stand it. I didn't care that any of them got shot. I didn't care that any of them. One of the guys, Chavez, was he Mexican or was he a Native American? I couldn't tell you which one he was. It seemed like he was a bit of everything. It was bloody awful.
So that is Lou Diamond Phillips, who is, I believe, he's from the Philippines, if I remember correctly.
So he's neither.
I think his character is supposed to be Native American, but I'm fairly certain he's Filipino.
And of course, Chavez.
And obviously it was a different time. They but yeah, you are right. Like if that was now, he wouldn't be cast in that role, would you?
I think my biggest issue with it, and we talked about it last week with obviously I've already forgotten the Aussie man's name in the show.
Coughlin.
Yeah. There is nothing about any of these characters that make you care about them. That was my biggest issue with it. To be a bit of a film wanker about it, is that you see they all are supposed to be desperate to bring revenge for their benefactor dying, but we don't see him being that nice to them. So like, why are they invested? Why are they emotionally invested? And Billy the Kid being portrayed as this guy, it's just. You have one of the most like notorious Western outlaws, and he's being portrayed as a bratty 19-year-old Emilio Estevez. It's just, I couldn't stand it, Andy. And I'm annoyed we had to watch it for 1 second of Tom Cruise.
Ash, how are you feeling?
I spent half the time like watching half the time that it was on, looking on Wikipedia at who each character was, because it's obviously they're all based on actual It's all based on actual things. And I was like, oh my God, they're actual people.
Yep.
And obviously Chavez, his name is Jose Kobe Frey Chavez y Chavez. Like he's double Chavez. It's like, who goes, you can never go double Chavez. I kind of disagree with it. Like, I hated it as well. Don't get me wrong. I kind of disagree that you don't. I think they do build up Kiefer Sutherland a bit. I think this is not bad. It's not a bad outing for Kiefer Sutherland.
Fair.
I think I spent most of my time rooting for Kiefer rather than anyone else, because they spent the time with him to build up that he's got the love interest in the girl. And then she comes, and then she comes and they run off and all that sort of stuff. So that was the one redeeming feature for me.
That's a very fair point. He was the best character by a mile.
Yeah, I agree fully that sort of like anyone with any kind of knowledge of Billy the Kid, like he was an outlaw, he was a villain. Like, why are we meant to kind of be supporting this guy? It's Emilio Estevez. Like, nah, I'm not buying any of this. And as I said to you online. Why have we got why have we got a random English person in the middle of the fucking Wild West? When the fuck was he getting there?
Well, in all fairness, that would have been a thing, because parcels of land were given to English men that went over there with money
Fair enough.
to build things up. So that's actually historically and factually correct.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not he would have been then at odds with an Irishman over there is another thing, because they didn't go over with money. That was the whole point. They were basically just above dogs and black people at that point. So they would have been making the railroads, not owning land.
Yeah.
But English men of certain social standing were given parcels of land out there to build the country, basically.
Fair enough. I think it was a criminal underuse of Terence Stamp in that sense, though. I like Terence Stamp, and then he was just gone, and it was like, all right, okay then. And I say for 1 second to Tom Cruise, no, I apologise. I think what did I say in the group chat? This is you've been set. Come on, go to your granddad's. Me and mum, your mum and your dad are going out. Go and watch your granddad's films, and this is what you get, and you just
yeah.
So that's interesting, because this doesn't feel like a real Western, like by any stretch of the imagination when you compare it to, like, High Noon.
Is it the 80s guitar music, Andy, that comes through on 4 or 5 different scenes when
This is it. Like, it's quite clearly made by a fucking MTV director. Like, it's pure. I'm amazed they don't stop and pose for fucking photo shoots partway through it for their still images, because it is
Kiefer
such
Sutherland. One of them does. No, Billy the Kid does. He gets a picture taken.
Yeah, he does. Because there is that famous picture of Billy the Kid, which I think it's supposed to be the
shoehorned in.
Yeah, like
massively
it is supposed to be. And in fairness, like, Billy the Kid was 21 when he died. So I do think he's probably going to be a loudmouth prick. He's not going to have much character development because he's a child. Like, he has no development in his life. So I think Estevez did a good enough job with relatively limited scope there. I think he did fine. I'll be honest, I think the second one's a better film. The second one probably leans even more into late 80s, early 90s aesthetics, even though it's set in 1880. But that's by the by.
Apparently they're doing
I think they did well. Are they?
Apparently.
That's how desperate we are for ideas, isn't it?
That's terrible. That'd have to be a reboot, because, I mean, spoiler alert for a film that's 36 years old, he dies in the second one. So, yeah, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, Young Guns Free, alias Billy the Kid.
So who dies in the second one? Billy the Kid?
Billy.
Don't they say that he dies at the end of this, though?
They talk about his death because he gets shot by Pat Garrett.
I mean, he also takes a bullet to the heart in the last scene and then manages to then fight back and live. So,
Yeah. But no, the second one is about Pat Garrett chasing down Billy the Kid, getting deputised and taking him out, shooting him in the back. Like, it's quite famous, the thing about him being shot in the back by Pat Garrett. But it's a different person playing Pat Garrett in the second film. It's William Peterson, Gil Grissom from CSI.
Yeah,
if you know you, which is strange because it's played by somebody else in this film. And as I pointed out, it was really strange when the credits rolls. It comes up saying co-starring whoever as Pat Garrett before the names of all of the rest of the people. I don't think I've ever seen that in a film before, that they've given a random co-star who I don't even remember in the film anything. I thought their chemistry was pretty good. I thought the group felt like a rag. Like, they almost felt like the in-betweeners if they would have been in the late 1800s and had guns. Like, they felt like they were, you know, young adults dicking around a little bit. And I kind of liked the way they bounced off each other, especially Billy the Kid and Doc, played by Kiefer Sutherland. I kind of liked how they worked together. And also I like the fact that Charlie Sheen died early and was just out of the way for the rest of the film.
He was an interesting choice to be the pseudo leader at the start. I wasn't expecting his character to be the pseudo leader.
No.
So that was interesting. But every time one of them screamed regulators, I did want to throw my laptop out the window.
Right, so let's get into the cruise of it. Does he run? No, he falls over and nothing else. Does he take his shirt off? No, he falls over and nothing else. Does he wear sunglasses? No, he falls over and nothing else. And also, it's 1881 or whatever it is, so I don't think sunglasses are even a thing at that point. Explosions, we did get some. What did you think of the final shootout, lads? I was quite kind of impressed with it for this type of film with relatively small budget. I thought it was all right.
The final scenes were the best in it. The physics don't make any sense. Like I say, the Billy the Kid just walks off a shotgun round to the heart, where you see his shirt explode. But it was. I think it was the best action scene, and it was well shot, and it was perfectly 80s with lots of slow motion and guitar music.
He also walked off getting thrown out of a fucking first story window in
That's another fair point you've made.
Oh my god. that would hurt most men, but obviously not Billy the Kid.
Not Emilio Estevez, the hard man.
No, obviously.
I mean, let's be honest. When we were 21, we could do shit like that. That was nothing.
To an extent, Jesus Christ.
I was telling my 11-year-old about drama lessons where people were being suplexed through tables. That definitely happened in year 11. So yeah, maybe there are some lads out there that maybe could have worn that, but yeah.
Can't really do Cruise doing Cruise things because he's in it for less than a second, but he turned up on set because he's always been interested in cowboy films, was asked, do you want to be in it?
He's such a weirdo.
He said, obviously, and then they just slapped a fucking mustache on him and sent him out there to be shot. Like, that's kind of cruisy.
Yeah, he's so weird, isn't he? He just rocks up. Was he preparing for another role in another Western, Andy, that's coming up? Is there a reason behind it?
Nope, he was friends with Emilio Estevez. That's why I think he was there, and he likes Western. I don't even know, has he done a Western? Thinking about it, there's nothing that
I don't think so.
Just at a very
there aren't very many past Back to the Future Part 3.
There aren't. No. Far and Away. I don't. That's not a Western, is it? Like, that's the only film that potentially a young Irish couple flee to the States. It looks like it's set in that period of time. No, it's not that. That's not a Western either. No, I don't think he's done one then. Which is strange for someone who apparently likes a Western. But even so, like, that's a very cruisy thing to do, to just turn up and go, yeah, fuck it. Throw me in there, coach. Why not?
And do a stunt.
Of course. The life and times of Thomas Cruise at this point. So 2 days before this film's release, Cruise made his first appearance on the David Letterman show. Like, he's big time at this point. He talks about his car racing hobby, which obviously plays into one of the next few films that we've got coming up. That's where he meets his second wife for the first time, Nicole Kidman. Now, I missed this on the last episode. Between The Colour of Money and Cocktail, TC had got married to Mimi Rogers. That was the 9th of May, 1987, when they got married. She was a second-generation member of the Church of Scientology. Oh. So by 1988, the church were pushing Tom as hard as they could to be a central figure in their advertisements. She introduced him to Scientology, but Cruise has said joining was his own accord. He wasn't forced upon him. At this point, there are no stories, no advocacy, no controversies about Tom Cruise in the Church of Scientology. I assumed it was still a bit of an underground cult at this time rather than the mainstream cult that it is now. But apparently, most Americans would have been aware of the Church of Scientology because of Operation Snow White. So Operation Snow White happened between 1973 and 1977. Scientology's intelligence wing, the Guardian Office, carried out a coordinated infiltration of the US government agencies. Their goal was to remove negative records about Scientology, gather intel on government investigations, and protect L. Ron Hubbard from legal exposure. It wasn't small-time stuff. Like, they faked IDs, they broke into places, they did wiretapping, they stole documents, they planted Scientologists within federal offices.
What?
Yeah, like, they went balls deep in the American government trying to, like, cover shit up.
Thank God Stu is not on the pod.
Yeah.
I know.
We would go past 11 o'clock, I think, with him.
In 1977, the FBI raided the Scientology offices in Washington and LA. They seized 48,000 documents, evidence of break-ins, internal memos detailing the operation. It was a massive national scandal. I'd never heard of this.
No. That's a much better film than what you've made us watch, Andy, that we haven't had.
It does feel like this would have been quite an interesting thing. 11 high-ranking Scientologists were convicted, including Mary Sue Hubbard, L. Ron's wife, and senior Guardian official executives had prison sentences.
Height of the Cold War as well at this point. So they're worrying about the Reds, and they've also got Scientologists coming for them.
When was Watergate? Because it feels very much like that.
76, I think. It's Nixon, isn't
it? Like, that sort of rings a bell. It would be around that period of time.
Stu's balls are tingling at this talk, isn't it?
Yeah. 74. I was a couple of years out. 72 to 74, the Watergate scandal.
So I think from this point on, what we'll do is we'll try and track Tom in Scientology and Scientology scandals as we go film to film as well. So we'll do Scientology watch as we go along. I think it's kind of interesting, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
we're going to end up signed up, aren't we?
I mean, they tried to get me before, Ash. Because they used to have their centre out in Birmingham at the back of the building next to the library, where the library is now. And when I was at college, me and my cousin went up, and these two people came over and started talking to us, tried to take us round the back to this fucking Scientology building to have a test. So they obviously wanted to test our thetans and see if we needed help. Thetans, that's what they do. Yeah, they get you to hold two rods and answer questions.
I bet that is that what they called them?
And then you answer questions about how unhappy you are, and if you're unhappy, I mean, I was a fucking 17, 18-year-old, so I'd have been miserable. That's the way of life.
If you're being made to hold two guys' rods, then I'd imagine it's probably too hot.
All of this
was two women.
All of this just makes me go to The Simpsons. Na 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 leader. Na, 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 from that episode. That's all this is now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stonecutters.
So in 1986, L. Ron Hubbard died, so there was a bit of a power struggle at this point in the Church of Scientology's history. David Miscavige had sort of wormed his way to the top, and I think he used Tom Cruise somewhat to embed himself as being untouchable, because obviously Tom Cruise is the most important person in Scientology, even though he's not the leader. And I think because Miscavige was friends with him, that's how he sort of managed to gain his power. So I do think it's kind of an interesting story. At this point, they were expanding, they were buying up buildings, trying to establish itself as an actual religious organisation so that it would be considered tax exempt. Because it turns out a cult which has a lot of millionaires giving them money, they don't want to pay tax on it. So that's sort of where we are at this point.
What a surprise at some kind of religion wanting to hide their money.
Shocker, ain't it, that one?
It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah. So obviously there was no award nods for Young Guns at the big three or the Razzies, so we're still at 20 and 10 for the cumulative total. Critical response at the time was kind of mixed. Critics liked the energy and the cast chemistry, but thought it was style over substance, which I can agree with, to be honest. Roger Ebert called it a slick young Hollywood Western. Not an insult, but not really a compliment either. Many noted it felt like a music video with horses, which again I think is fair. The modern reassessment, it has become a bit of a cult favourite. People enjoy it as a time capsule of late 80s teen idol cinema, which I think is how I look at this film. Like, it's not a Western, it's an 80s film. And it just so happens that it's set in the 1880s. And obviously, Cruise being a trivia night question at this point is kind of cool. The budget and box office, the budget was $11 million, giving us a cumulative total of $128 million, and the box office return was $56 million, giving us a cumulative total for Tom Cruise of $836.5 million. That's a very healthy return. they were obviously. I mean, we've spoken about it week on week. People liked the Brat Pack at this point, so they're just bringing in money. Ed, Cage or Cruise?
In this, in this, I think either of them would have worn that moustache brilliantly. I think the film would have been better with both of them being in the Young Guns themselves. Pick a person alongside Kiefer, and I think we would have had a better film.
I do think I agree. I think I'd have kept Estevez because I kind of like his shitbag charm in this. I think works kind of well. I think you could probably replace Charlie Sheen quite easily, to be fair.
I think we could have replaced Charlie Sheen.
I think that could have been Cage.
Yeah.
That could have been
probably.
Cage quite nicely. I think Cruise would have made a good Charlie, I think.
Yes.
I think that would have probably made it a better film. But
Yeah, maybe. But for the role itself, are you going Cage or Cruise for the 0.2 seconds that he's on screen?
God. I'm going to go with Cage, so then we wouldn't have had to have watched this.
Yeah. Seconded.
So I've already watched it, basically.
You and Stu would have, and Matt would have had to have watched this rather than me and Ash. So yeah, Cage.
I think if it was Cage, Cage would have wanted a speaking part and probably would have wanted to have died by a snake bite rather than being shot. But yeah, I'm going to go with Cruise just because of that, I think. Is Cruise the saviour of cinema or just another sinner, Ash?
Saviour, sure.
Yeah.
I think he must be to just turn up and do it. Fair play.
Yeah.
Can't call him a sinner for that.
Yeah. Like, he's a supporting saint. He's a saint with a SAG card, I think. That's pretty much what he's doing here. But as I said, like, him being a trivia question now off the back of it, that's got some Cruise gravity to it. So I'm going to go with Saint as well. If you enjoyed Young Guns, you may also like... I've put Young Guns 2 because it's the same film, but more so. Like, it's more MTV. It's more late 80s, early 90s. It's got a John Bon Jovi soundtrack. The actors still get to show their camaraderie, which I think is the best thing about this. I think Young Guns 2 is a better film. But failing that, I think if you want a proper Western, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is one of my favourite films, let alone favourite Westerns. Like, I love Jimmy Stewart. The guy is the immortal everyman. And John Wayne is doing some heavyweight shit in that film. So it might be that one. Ed?
So just to watch more Kiefer Sutherland, always watch The Lost Boys. That's a good one. But I've gone slightly off piece because I'm not a big Western fan. So I went with The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. Sort of a buddy cop. There's lots of guns in that, and it's got the nice banter and the back and forth between them. So I went with that.
Love it. Great shout. Ash?
I stayed with a Western, and it's the only Western that I actually quite enjoy. Tarantino, The Hateful Eight. Based in one thing, shootout, outlaws. Same sort of thing, but existentially better film.
Another good call there.
Yeah, City Slickers was the only one that was close to a Western that I would have gone with.
Maybe The Three Amigos.
Or The Three Amigos, definitely.
Yeah. Right then, so next week we're moving on from the Brat Pack. We're going to be talking about the summer. So we're doing our summer preview, talking about May through to August, what to expect in the heated months. The short film review is another YouTube movie called Breadwinner. An obsessive baker moves in with her boyfriend just as her sourdough starter develops a bloodthirsty craving.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's been advertised to me like every time I've been onto YouTube, so I'm like, oh, okay, let's get that one in the bag. And the Tom Cruise film that we're going to be watching, the Cruise stops at Rain Man. After a selfish LA yuppie learns his estranged father left a fortune to an autistic savant brother in Ohio that he didn't know existed, he absconds with his brother and sets out across the country hoping to gain a larger inheritance. Directed by Barry Levinson. I thought I said Barry Manilow then was the writer. Barry Morrow is the writer along with Ron Bass. This is Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman.
This
it's been a few years since I've seen it.
Finally a good movie.
Yeah, this is the penance we've had to pay for the last 2 weeks of watching these last two films. So we're going to actually watch a film.
This is the Scorsese meme, the total cinema.
It definitely is. Like, I mean, I'm just like flicking through his 80s so far. I mean, this is going to be the best film. I mean, Top Gun's great.
Top Gun's amazing.
This is probably going to be the
No,
best film of
this
the
is
80s
better.
because this is potentially like this is going to be one of his top 5 films of all time. I think.
Yeah. This is a film. Top Gun was a movie.
This is his best film. This is.
I haven't seen it. It's probably pre-pandemic was the last time I saw it, so I am looking forward to giving this one another go. Some just absolute powerhouse performances. Yeah, looking forward to getting to that one. Right, so if you want to get in contact, get us on the email at cagefightingpod@gmail.com and socials at cagefightingpod. Make sure you go on whatever podcaster that it is that you listen to us on, and if you could leave us a review, that would really help us out and might help us grow a little bit. If you like watch the video, I'm going to say watch the video. There's nothing to see. It's literally just the image of cage fighting cruise control, but you can do it on YouTube apparently. Leave some comments on there because I presume that would help boost us as well. Anything at all, just say hello, whatever it is. Just see if you can do us all a favour. That would be really appreciated.
That's why you need to start doing it as a video format as well.
It's tempting, but it's just the effort of like pulling all this shit together and then putting it out there. I mean,
And then
might be a way
editing
on
this where we're
Zencaster.
talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a way on Zencaster to do it all in one go. I don't know. Maybe one day. Once we've moved on from Tom Cruise and we're doing Penelope Cruz, then we'll that's it. That's it. Because we won't need to change the name or anything. We'll just change it from CRUISE to CRUZ. So that might be the one. We'll get around to it eventually. Anyway, for this week, Ed, would you like to say goodbye?
Regulators, goodbye.
Ash, would you like to say goodbye?
Don't waste your time with it. Goodbye.
It's goodbye from me too. And remember, be excellent to each other.